Good morning, and welcome to the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Monday, December 23rd, Christmas Eve. And this is the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Darren Mott, and I thank you, as always, for taking your time to download, listen, pass along information you hear in this podcast. I know this is Christmas week, and a lot of the podcasts I listened to said last Friday was their last podcast for the year. I plan to continue to do this right up through the new year, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like I have been. And I say that now. So hopefully that is the case. But sometimes situations get out of control and things happen. But I should be able to continue the podcast, which for the dozens of you that listen will be very exciting news, I am sure. But let's get right into the news, because there was was there a ton of stuff? Nah, really, but there were some important big stories that I thought were important that I wanted to talk about in our 15 minutes together. First one is from CSO Online, and I highlighted this one first because it's an important lesson to learn, where cyber war and the geopolitical ramifications of cyber warfare are probably going to go. This is from Guyana Swain reporting. Russia fires its biggest cyber weapon against Ukraine. The largest cyber attack in recent memory halts critical government services in Ukraine, as officials rush to restore operations and safeguard systems. Ukraine has faced one of the most severe cyber attacks in recent history, targeting its state registries and temporarily disrupting access to critical government records. Ukrainian Deputy Minister Olga Stefanishyna, boy, did I mispronounce that one, I'm sure, attributed the attack to Russian operatives, describing it as an attempt to destabilize the country's vital digital infrastructure amid the ongoing war. Quote, "It's already clear that the attack was made by the Russians in order to disrupt the work of the critically important infrastructure of the state," she noted in a Facebook post. Quote, "This was the largest external cyber attack on Ukraine's state registries in recent times," she wrote, adding that the targeted systems fall under the Ministry of Justice's jurisdiction. And they're trying to restore it. And this is the key part of this article, I think, a cyber war amid ongoing conflict. The attack on Ukraine's registries is just the latest chapter in the cyber warfare that has accompanied the nearly 3-year-long conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Both nations have faced high-profile breaches targeting critical infrastructure. Ukraine has previously endured attacks, such as the mass cyber assault on its largest mobile provider, Kyivstar, in December 2023, and on the other side, Russian ministries were struck by a series of attacks in June, demonstrating the reciprocal nature of these digital hostilities. Earlier, the Ukrainian hacktivist group Cyber Resistance claimed responsibility for breaching and leaking email communications from the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs and other agencies. The breach highlighted Ukraine's capability to strike back digitally, targeting Russia's administrative operations. So this is, and there's more to this article if you want to take a look at it. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more. But the point being, this is the world we now live in. We can say that, there's only a couple key fighting wars going on currently that we kind of pay attention to, right? Ukraine, the stuff in the Middle East. But honestly, we are under a worldwide cyber war right now, whether we want to admit that or not. And it depends on how you define it. I took a master's class and we had a whole class on cyber warfare, and it was hard to define exactly what cyber warfare is. And everyone may have different definitions for what they think it may be. But in this case, we are all dealing with cyber warfare in one way or another, because you have nation-state oriented actors, actors affiliated with nations, China, U.S., Russia, Iran, Ukraine, Israel, pick one, that are doing cyber attacks in one way, shape, or form. They may be intrusions into the telecommunication systems like we see with the Chinese doing here in the U.S. And we can pretty much guarantee that the U.S. is doing some covert cyber stuff against our adversaries. We'd be stupid to think that we were not doing that. But when the bullets start flying, these efforts will become very much overt. In other words, you will know that the bad guys are doing this. But if you exist in an industry that supports critical national infrastructure, whatever that looks like for wherever you are, your industry, your entity, your business is going to be targeted. So take this particular incident, this Ukraine-Russian war, and the cyber activity happening there as a warning that we will be in this place at some point. Will we be able to not be in a global conflict for the rest of our lives? Probably not. There will be a conflict somewhere. And when that happens, cyber warfare is going to be at the tip of the spear for all of this, because those activities are already already underway by nation state actors trying to pre-populate their tools, their capabilities in places that are sitting dormant until they need them. It could be your business. How do you know? Again, if you don't understand the threats targeting you, you can't deal with your risk. You can't assess your risk. You don't know what your risk is. So, as I've said many times, find someone to help you at least start the conversation on what that looks like, so that when bullets do start flying, your business will be protected from these kind of specific attacks, especially, again, if you're in the national critical infrastructure space. All right. CyberNews.com, Stephanie Shepard. U.S. gives NetWalker ransomware operator a $14 million bill and 20 years behind bars. So this is from the good news file. So what does this mean? The U.S. Department of Justice on Friday handed down a 20-year prison sentence to a Romanian national charged with helping to carry out hundreds of NetWalker ransomware attacks. DOJ officials say 30-year-old Daniel Cristian Hulea admitted to participating in attacks targeting hundreds of victims all over the world using the sophisticated ransomware. According to court documents, Hulea and another co-conspirator had specifically targeted the healthcare sector during the COVID-19 pandemic, taking advantage of the global crisis to extort their victims. Authorities have estimated that NetWalker extorted victims out of $60 million until its demise in January 2021, with the highest ransom paid at $3 million, which now the ransoms are way over that. As part of the sentence, Hulea was ordered to pay almost $15 million in restitution, forfeit $21.5 million, which will end up all being about 1,595 Bitcoin at the time. All right, so how did he get arrested? That's a good question. Let's see if it even says. He was arrested in Romania by law enforcement at the request of U.S. authorities back in 2023, then extradited to the U.S. So this is when good things can happen, when you have bad guys in a nation that are allies or friendly to the United States or to the nation that's trying to find the bad guy and can get them extorted. Now, if this guy was smart, he would have taken his $60 million, moved to a country without extradition, and lived his life. But he, of course, let's be honest, criminals aren't smart. They're usually stupid. And the good thing with some cases like this is you build up a lot of evidence before you get to the point of actually wanting a foreign country to arrest an individual. So by the time he was arrested, I guarantee you there was so much evidence, there's no way he could plead not guilty, which is why he pled guilty and is going to do 20 years in prison and have no money when he gets out. So thumbs up to all authorities in play here that did all of this, because we like it when that happens. Darkreading.com, Robert Lemos reporting, U.S. ban on TP-Link routers more about politics and exploitation risk. Well, a number of threat groups have used TP-Link bugs to infiltrate networks. A proposed ban on the computer's popular routers is more than geopolitics than actual cybersecurity, and that may be a good thing. That's an interesting subheadline. Now, if you haven't followed along, but this is big news over the weekend, since about Thursday or Friday, I believe, is when this really popped, is TP-Link routers have some vulnerabilities in it that the Chinese are using to exploit networks that utilize these routers, and it's being recommended to stop using TP-Link routers. So, long story. So let me give you a bottom line up front. If you have a TP-Link router, you probably want to get rid of it for something else right now. That's it. But this article takes a little different take, dealing with the geopolitical part of this. But while U.S. government agencies and lawmakers reportedly are considering a ban on TP-Link's products in the United States, one might think the company would rank high on the list of networking vendors with the most vulnerabilities currently being exploited by cyber attackers. But they are not by a long shot. The Chinese firm, whose products are popular among consumers and small businesses, currently has 2 security issues gracing the known exploited vulnerabilities list curated by CISA, compared to 74 for Cisco, 23 for Avante, and 20 for D-Link. The difference is the others are in the U.S. TP-Link is owned by a Chinese company, which means that they are in China, which means that they are required to give all sorts of information to the Chinese government. So who knows what's in these routers, how much information they're tracking, what they have, what they're passing along to their home country, kind of like the issue with TikTok, right? Anything that is a situation with a Chinese-owned company, you want to stay away from. So if you have a TP-Link router, you may want to get rid of it, because it's probably not going to do you any good. Even without the vulnerabilities, there's potential risks there. There's a quote in this article that makes a good point, and it's, nation-state actors frequently exploit weaknesses in devices from companies worldwide, including those sold by American manufacturers. Sure, the Cisco ones, the Netlink ones, all that kind of stuff. the lesson is that vulnerabilities in embedded devices are not unique to any one manufacturer or country of origin, says Sonu Shankar. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong part there. So devices lacking basic security hygiene, such as the use of strong passwords, timely firmware patching, and proper configurations, can become easy targets for cyber attacks. So, the point here is, if there's vulnerabilities, TP-Link's not going to care. They'll fix them eventually, right? It's a business model. They still want to make money. But before they do that, there's a good chance that the Chinese government is talking to TP-Link and saying, hey, we're going to need this vulnerability. We need you to keep it open for a while. There's a whole risk of geopolitical problems using TP-Link routers. So my suggestion here, get rid of them, find something else. The other ones may have vulnerabilities too, but you can patch them, and you can pretty much guarantee your information likely not going back to China. So let's just say that. All right, from Bill Tolis, this is more of a, hey, how about that kind of thing? North Korean hackers stole $1.3 billion worth of crypto this year. And I only point this out because I say this in presentations all the time. The problem with North Korean hackers is that they do it for money. Unlike nation-state actors from China and Russia that are doing it for geopolitical purposes, North Korea does it because they got to support the regime. So North Korean hackers have stolen $1.34 billion worth of cryptocurrency across 47 cyber attacks that occurred in 2024, according to a new report by blockchain analysis company Chainalysis. The amount represents 61% of the total stolen funds for the year, marking a year-over-year increase of 21%. All right. Chainalysis says most of the incidents this year occurred between January and July, during which 72% of the total amount was stolen. The report highlights the DMM Bitcoin hack from May, where over $305 million was lost. And another one called WazirX cyber heist in July, which was $235 million. State-sponsored North Korean hackers systematically target cryptocurrency holders, platforms, and investors as a way to generate revenue to fund their country's country's weapons development program. This year's proceeds have reached $1.3 billion, breaking the previous record in 2022 of $1.1 billion. So what does this mean? Well, one thing I would say, and I was talking to my brother about his cryptocurrency yesterday because he stores all of his on an online platform where he buys his cryptocurrency. So he buys and kind of leaves it there. That's warm storage. What you want to do is offload it into cold storage. You want to get a Ledger USB drive or a similar type device, which costs about $80, and basically send all your crypto to the Ledger and then store the Ledger in the safe with all the passwords. So you know what the password, you don't want to lose the password. That would be problematic. So this is a learning thing to say, if you're storing all your stuff online, there's the potential of it getting compromised, hacked, stolen. So store it offline if you can. All right. Lastly, another good news file. This is Ravi Lakshmanan from the Hacker News. Lockbit developer Rostislav Panev charged for billions in global ransomware damages. A dual Russian and Israeli national has been charged in the United States for allegedly being the developer of the now defunct Lockbit ransomware as a service operation since its inception in or around 2019 through at least February 2024. And let's be honest, Lockbit just became something else. What exactly it is, I don't know if this article is going to deal with it or I don't know if I know. But Lockbit's ransomware as a service still exists, just in a different name, but whatever. Rostislav Panev, these names, was arrested in Israel earlier this August and currently awaiting extradition to the U.S. Based on fund transfers to a cryptocurrency wallet owned by Panev, he allegedly earned approximately $230,000 between June 2022 and February 2024. He built and maintained digital weapons that enabled his Lockbit co-conspirators to wreak havoc and cause billions of dollars in damage around the world, said U.S. Attorney Philip Selinger. Lockbit was one of the most prolific ransomware groups, had its infrastructure seized in February 2024 as part of an international law enforcement operation called Kronos. It gained notoriety for targeting more than 2,500 entities in about 120 countries around the world, including 1,800 in the U.S. alone. So another guy was charged. He's waiting to be extradited, but hopefully he will see some prison time. So that'll be good. We'll all like that, and we'll applaud and say thumbs up. With that, I'm running out of time. I'm going to let you go. Remember, all these articles are available in the show notes if you want to review them. If you have thoughts or questions, email me, find me on LinkedIn. Share the podcast, because knowledge is protection. If we can understand the threats targeting us, we can assess our risk, proceed wisely. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy your Monday.
Cyber Smart Morning News is written and produced by Cyber Guy Productions. Feel free to email thoughts, comments, or suggestions to Darren at thecyberguy.com or follow Darren on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/DarrettMott. Thanks for listening.